Hello, this is Blaine Parrott coming back at you from That Ain't Black and That Ain't Black Podcast.com. And I got a really great guest. And her name is Nicolette Vonchelle, and she is the Patriot Lioness. Am I correct with that?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, now before we even get this started, before I was doing some stuff, and I'm pretty sure you done heard it a jillion, a million times. If you want to, listen to a show with some black folks gonna be cussing and yelling at each other, this ain't the show. Go do something else. I don't know. Go change the motor oil. Go mow your lawn. Do your laundry. It's a nice Sunday afternoon. I'm pretty sure that just a lot of other things that you could be doing and tuning in, trying to get some black folks be yelling and cussing and screaming at each other. That ain't happening. Okay.
Nope.
No, that ain't happening. All right, but when I was talking with some people and they sit back up, I'm pretty sure you done heard it a jillion million times. And they say black Republican. Even from black folks, you get a really, really bad response. Even for some white folks, and say that black Republican. What are you talking about? That doesn't. Those two words just don't go together. So why in the world would you want to be a black Republican? Especially nowadays, all the stuff for the last past 2 or 3 years, with Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff in the election. I can go on and on about it. But why in the
Yeah.
world would you want to be a black Republican?
Well, first of all, it was the Republicans that started the Republican Party. We're all black.
Mm-hmm.
80% of the Republican Party, when it was first started, was by the slaves that had been freed.
Mm-hmm.
So the legacy of being a Republican, since our culture puts so much stock in legacy and ancestry and all of that, if we're talking about legacy, the Republican Party is our legacy. That's ours
Mm-hmm.
because our ethnicity, our race, our struggle was what brought the Republican Party into existence to combat the Democratic Party, which were the ones that were fighting to keep their slaves. Thus, the Republican Party was started. So, if we take it all the way back to history, it just makes sense. And especially even now, when we talk about the Republican Party as it is, when people vote, because I'm not one of the Republicans that vote specifically based on party politics. What I still pay attention to is who is running that lines up with my value base. So 9 times out of 10 for me, it also being a Christian, also being a conservative, 9 times out of 10 that's going to line up with the Republican candidate. So that just
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. And I tell people all the time, stop paying so much attention to loyalty to your party, when be loyal to your value and your moral system. And the basis and the foundation of the Republican Party is very much set in stone for those who fight for freedom, because it was started by the
Mm-hmm.
slaves that were freed, when they got free. So the foundation of the Republican Party, the fight is always for freedom, for life, being against abortion and things like that. The nuclear family, God made God made them man and woman, which are all things that line up with my value and my moral system. So for me, the Democratic Party's line of values, the things that they put all of their stock in, directly goes against the type of lifestyle that I want to live and the type of lifestyle that I want my children to grow up in. So for me, it just makes sense. And so it's like, well, it shouldn't have anything to do with your skin color, honestly. But if people want to talk about skin, I always remind them, well, the Republican Party was started by, black, African American, freed slaves. So if we're talking about skin, then go off and on that. So yeah.
Okay. Because I know a long time they was always saying that the Republican Party would know what you're saying, and that thing that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, and now they sit back and they go back and they like he could have cared less either which way about it, and it was just kind of like a.
Right.
Because I remember that I'm a little bit older than you and stuff, and they used to sit
Hmm.
back and say that back in the school. Oh, he freed the slaves, freed the slaves. In fact, there's one barber shop I used to go to. They'd have a picture of Abraham Lincoln. They wanted to say, "Oh, he freed the slaves." And later on, when history got revealed, it came back up that he could have cared less either which way. Now, you
Right.
said something that came up. You said conservative. Now, being black in the black community, when you sit back and say conservative, that's like the cold word for it's not a really good word when you talk about some brothers conservative. Yeah, we know what that's about. Come on, let's get real. So why be conservative?
Well, for me, and it's funny, I was having this conversation with a few people on Instagram actually about a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Conservative was not a political ideology. Conservative, because growing up in the South, the Bible Belt. So
Yeah.
conservative used to just mean that
Uh-huh.
you weren't having sex before marriage. If you were a woman, you dressed modestly. If you were a man, you took care of your responsibilities. You took care of your family. You took care of your home. Like living a conservative lifestyle was more lined up, went along the lines of Christianity. And
Mm.
so now it's only been the past, like, what, 5 to 10 years that being conservative or having a conservative type of mindset has now become such a political ideology. So for me, I'm 37. So for me, growing up where I grew up, conservative for me hasn't changed in my mindset, just because now it's become like a political stream and a political machine now, which we could call it that, because I mean, so many people call themselves conservatives, so many people call themselves Republicans, and it just always doesn't really line up with the basis or the foundation of it, at the heart and the soul of it, which is fine too. But for me, being conservative lines up with Christianity, because I'm a Christian above anything and everything else. So for me, that's what it comes down to.
Okay. When you say Christian and everything, a lot of candidates over the last past, what, especially last past 3 or 4 years, have gone on the
Yeah.
Christian platform and everything. And when you sit back and say Christianity, they look at Donald Trump and like, you want to get this guy to be the representative of Chris? He was on Playboy magazine. I mean, I got in an argument with this girl on Facebook. He was on Playboy. And he's
Facts.
messing around some girl. What's that one woman centerfold or whatever like that? Slept with her,
Yeah.
paid off the money. I'm like, damn, you sure you want to get this guy the good Christian values? Come
Trump has
on.
done a lot. Look, Trump has been living his best life his whole life.
Uh huh.
For him, and even with him, even voting for him, for me, was the fact that he was severely against abortion. At the time, was really vocal the about not necessarily homosexuality, but marriage being between a husband and a wife, and that type of family dynamic. Um, of course, like the Second Amendment rights and all of those things. So for me, that's why I voted for him, because if he what was going on at the time lined up with my values. I could not stand Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
She was definitely not going to be my cup of tea at all. Just everything that she was saying. And I'm sorry, anybody's mentor that happens to be the leader, the founder of the foundation of Planned Parenthood, that used to be called the Negro Project, because she, quote unquote, literally said that she wanted to exterminate the Black race. We definitely not going that way. So if I'm going to vote, if I'm gonna vote, it could be the lesser of two evils, because I wasn't voting for Trump as saying that he was going to be the savior of the country, because I didn't vote for Trump even trying to say that he was a good Christian man, because that, no. But definitely voted for him because of the policies that he was promising to put forth. So I based it on that. To say that Trump was like the savior or his Christianity is on point would be a lie, because one, all of us sin and fall short of the glory of God, and Trump is still just a man. So nothing he does is ever going to be perfect, and he's going to make mistakes. He's going to flip flop, which is what he was saying with the vaccine and all that. Didn't agree with. I don't have to agree with everything that he says, but I paid attention to his policies and things that he had been doing in his life prior that lined up with, because he wasn't even always against abortion. He didn't become against abortion until one of his children had to go through a similar situation like that, and it changed his heart on it, and then he started speaking against abortion. So I pay attention to a person's entire life, not just what they're saying over a microphone, because people love to give lip service, but no actions to back it up after they get what they want. So Trump is not my savior. Only Jesus can be that. So I'm not one of those people that makes it seem like his stuff don't stink.
Okay. Now, I know that there's been controversy again. We're going to keep on going back there. When you say black and Republican, I know you get probably a lot of negative feedback, a lot of name calling
Oh
everywhere.
yes.
Can you tell me about your experience when you come out and you get, especially when you get on Instagram and YouTube and all this stuff? You say you're a
Hmm.
black Republican. I'm pretty sure you get a lot of nasty emails and
Hmm.
folks get to bumping their guns and all the nasty stuff that comes
Yes.
back. So, what has been your experience when you come across other black people and you say that you're Republican or conservative
Uh,
or both?
it's right.
Mm.
Um, the experience has been, it's interesting that I would say the experience for me has been 50-50. It's always going to be a given. The shock factor is always going to be 100%. How people respond afterwards is what's sometimes different. And I work in the entertainment industry and film industry. I'm a hair and makeup artist.
Uh,
And I also act and I do martial arts and things like that. So being in LA, probably 90% of the people in LA are all liberal or Democrat,
exactly.
period.
That's what I was going
So
like. Wow, you in LA too? Really? Conservative Christian values in LA? That's
look,
hedonistic society that it is with all this. Every whoa. I mean,
swear.
do you guys even got churches down there?
Yes, it's churches. There are churches. There's a lot of churches out here. But when I tell you people, yeah, people live what they feel like at the time. And it's a very fleeting, very trending thing that switches up at all times. So I'm so thankful I didn't grow up here. I'm very thankful that I was born and raised in the South, and as long as I was, because coming here made it a lot easier for me to stick to my guns when it came to my own morals and to not be swayed because of a job. Because I actually was on in an episode of in the last season of Insecure, and being on that set at the time when it was the height of COVID and wearing the mask and and having to get tested, and we literally had to get 3 tests Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we had rehearsals for 2 days. And every time we showed up to set for rehearsal, we got tested again.
Mm.
And then the day of filming, we got tested again. It's like, what is the point of getting all these tests in a row if you don't get the results back for 48 hours? I'm confused. But okay, because production's not going to shut down if one person shows up positive. So I don't even understand, but whatever. But so having a conversation on set with everybody and them talking about the vaccines and the mandates and Trump and everything, and speaking from a place of a different point of view, nobody ever really asked me if I was a Trump supporter, but I think depending because of the things that I was saying, they could pick up on it. Because I don't walk around saying, "Oh, I'm a Trump supporter," because it's not about Trump for me. Trump is just a dude. But the atmosphere, it was funny because I'd gotten to know people first, and then by the time conversations started to go around politics, is really when in that moment that people really didn't know what to say, because now like we built some type of relationship, some type of camaraderie. We're filming together, we've been hanging out all week together, and so it was almost like it made it easier for them to listen to my point of view. On that same set, people were talking about how they don't want to go to the South, they're scared to go to the South because the South is so racist and blah blah blah. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? Since when? I was like, I grew up in Alabama. It's not.
Mm.
They were like, what are you talking about? It's not. I was like, that's what the media tries to make things seem like it is. Like the South is the most racist because that was the land of the Confederacy and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I have been arrested when in my 20s being stupid. I've been arrested like 3 or 4 times, was always by myself, always got pulled over by a Caucasian cop, was always by myself, and was always treated with the utmost respect. Every single time. I've never had a negative encounter with a cop, and I'm 37 years old, born and raised in the South. So I was like, that hunting people down, that's not true. Like even with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, we talked about that. I was like, y'all don't find it interesting that in Georgia, like literally the week before, there was a black man who held a white man at gunpoint on the ground with his gun to his head. The police showed up because the white dude had tried to steal black man's car. Black man pulled a gun on him because in the South, in most of the states in the South, you could do a citizen's arrest. So he basically did a citizen's arrest. When the cops got there, the cops didn't shoot the black man. He was fine, safe. They arrested the white dude, took him away. everything was fine. But then the very next week, the same situation, but the skin color dynamics is different, and that goes a different situation. But the media didn't talk about the same situation that happened the week before. So it's interesting to see the disconnect across the country for how people take things that they see in the media and not do research. And then you have somebody who grows up in these areas looking you in your face and telling you, well, that's a lie because this is my entire life experience and I can prove it. And so it really shakes people up. So for me, when we're talking about being a Black Republican and a Black conservative, it's all in the way that you communicate to people, because the conversations like that, especially now because of the divide in the country, is always going to be so volatile. And the only thing that is going to hurt really being able to wake a person up in that type of conversation is if you're coming at them super combative or talking down to them, talking to them about how their ideology is stupid, they're ignorant, you're not reading, you're choosing to be a slave, and just coming at them from that standpoint instead of coming at it from a conversational type of mindset and heart to be like, okay, well, why do you think that way? Why is that what you believe? And then share information as opposed to drilling it into their heads, because we're adults. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Well, the way the country is going right now, that looks different, but in the grand scheme of things, nobody really wants to be told what to do. So if you're coming at me, I'm going to directly do the opposite of what's going to dial the situation down. Most people are going to do that. Most people it's going to be fight or flight. And so for me, I've been taking the path of conversation. I've had a friend actually cuss me out at his birthday party because I was speaking against Kamala Harris. And called me a coon and everything under the sun in front of everybody. And it's not new to me, but I also grew up in the era where it was like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So, I've had people try to call me out in my comments, calling me out of my name, calling me ignorant, stupid, hoe, slave, coon, house nigga. Sorry for saying that. But yeah, like saying stuff, like literally coming at me and saying things like that. But because of how I responded, after a while, they would be like, okay, you know what? Like, I actually respect you. Like, I'm going to go through and I'm going to delete my own comments because I don't delete anything. Whatever I say, whatever anybody else says is going to be in full view because I live my life from a standpoint of transparency. And I require the same from the people that are in my circle, the people that I'm voting for. I'm holding your feet to the fire too. So if you are a politician, you're not really willing to be transparent, then that's already a red flag. I live in California. Most of the Republicans in Cali right now who are in office are probably rhinos, just literally because they haven't been saying anything, doing anything, fighting, nothing. Not one of them shows up to any protest or rally that we've been having for the past 2 years. And it makes me sick to my stomach, but that is another subject. Don't even get me started on that. But yeah, I think it honestly just really gets to a point where we have to give people the room to learn and to grow. And if we know what the truth is, trying to get people to stop believing the lie that they've already made a part of their lifestyle is not going to be an easy thing. So coming at it from a combative standpoint, when you're having a conversation with people, is not what is going to get them to listen to you. The goal is to get them to listen and to hear what you're saying. So if you're doing it from that, it needs to be more of a conversation and more of sharing of information and trying to understand why they feel like that and why they agree, because there's always a root in there somewhere. So that's kind of what I've been doing the past couple of years. I actually have friends who are on the liberal side or the Democrat side, simply because we had these conversations within the past 2 years, and we still talk about things, still disagree on a lot, but it's about it's about unity, not about division. Because as long as they keep the division alive, the country's always going to be broken.
Okay. Now you said that you back in what 2008 that you actually voted for Barack Obama. Was that true or
Oh, actually, I did not. I was,
you
oof.
did? Okay.
So I lived in Florida
Uh huh.
back in 2008. That was my first by the entire Black community telling me that I was not Black because I did not vote for Barack Obama.
Oh,
And
okay. All right.
like the way, the way all of my friends who were Black at the time, all of them stopped being my friend because I did not vote for Barack Obama was very eye-opening to me. Because for them, they're like, well, we're all Black, we got to stick together. No, because if push come to shove, you'll probably save yourself before you save me, one. And two, Barack Obama was lying his butt off the entire time he was campaigning. No matter who he was standing in front of, that man pandered to whatever event a group of people was in the room. He was saying something different every single event, and I'm just watching him do that. And I'm like, y'all, how y'all not seeing the same thing? The man couldn't, when a person can't decide if they're a Christian or a Muslim, basically you can't decide what your religion is, and it keeps switching depending on the particular interview. That's a red flag. If you don't even know what your moral center is as an individual, as a person, and you keep switching it up, you just telling people whatever they want to be told, you are a liar, and you are gonna do the exact same thing when you get in office. And I was really good on that. And as everybody saw, everything he said he was gonna do for the Black community, didn't do a single thing. He's solely focused on homosexual rights. So told y'all so.
Okay. No, because I know, but back, I remember 2008, it's really controversial because he's going to be the first Black president. And
Yeah.
like a lot of Black people, like with me, like, I'm like, so motherfucker, what did he fuck up? Shit, I'm just trying to get a brother in office. Fuck that shit. We getting fucked over for years. I don't give a goddamn how bad he is. Shit. You know, and let's be honest with you. You're like, nah, man, fuck this shit. Y'all kiss my ass. Because I remember I worked in a really conservative thing. And I remember they got mad at me because I told them, I said, y'all go on down to Costco, get you a big ass size of chapsticks. Y'all kiss my black ass. I'm putting the brother in.
I'm dead.
And they hated my ass. They hated my ass because when he won, boy, I couldn't wait to get to work. I was the first one at work. I was clowning. I was dancing in the work. I'm like, yeah. I remember them people, I used to do security, and it's so bad because I'm liberal and stuff, and they said, I don't goddamn blame, they ain't gonna help me out. That black motherfucker hit my goddamn cousin. He been wanting to fuck me around for years and years. He's in the office now. Oh my God, he's gonna hate. Oh, he ain't gonna do shit for me. I'm dead. I'm dead. And I came out a big old grin on my face. I'm like, yeah. But I want to get them because my biggest thing when they say we say Republican Party. It's like my analogy of it is a party. If I sit back and I invite you to a party and stuff, and you the only black person, only white person in the party, and ain't nobody around looking like you could relate to you, whatever. Well, hey, listen up. This is your party. It ain't my party. This is your party. If you come to my party, you're gonna see all kinds of people: black people, Asian people, young people, old people, rich, educated, non-educated, blue collar workers. So when you sit back and you show up at the events, they're saying, "Well, this is your party. This is your party. I'm showing on up." And like I said, back like 2008, I'll give you an example. They had a Republican convention. I was working security. I don't know what the hell they got me working security for. I said, oh my God, because this one lady named Horn, and she was a Vietnamese or Cambodian. And I remember I got mouthpiece on myself, and I was clowning. I said, Horn, I said, how many of y'all look like up in here? I said, I'll give you $1 for everybody come up and who's a person of color. And they had like 3 or 4 brothers and stuff. And every time I passed by their booth and stuff, they wouldn't acknowledge me. You know how black folks is. You see another brother and you be like, hey, what's up, man? They wouldn't even, they look the other way. They look the other way. And I remember this one judge dude, it was so bad. After all the white folks went on in, he going, hey, how you doing, brother? I'm like, oh, white boy ain't around no more. Now you going to speak to me. Oh, okay, all right. And I'll give you another example. They had this one Asian girl. She was a white dude. And she came up to me afterwards. She said, well, I got bills to pay. I'm up in here. I said, oh, you said. I got bills to pay. I said, oh
Well,
my God. Oh, you
well,
gonna clown them like that? I'm like, damn.
all
but
right then.
but those kind of experiences that you have when you
Mhm.
comes to politics and stuff. Cause it's
Right.
like you got those fire like, man, fuck that shit. So what? These rich white folks getting fucked around. I don't give a goddamn. We been getting dogged out for years. You know, cause like I said, back in 2008, I don't give a goddamn how bad his ass is. I just want to get in the cloud, motherfuckers. That when he got off, oh man, it's like Jesus came back. Like, oh, good Lord, promised land. But
Dead,
that's what it
not
was.
Jesus.
Not Jesus, but you know what I'm trying to say. Come on. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, because it felt like really good to be American. Because beforehand, we had discussions and everything, and they say, well,
Mm.
why in the world would you want to join the military and fight for your country and die for your country if you couldn't be the president of the country? Because it's kind of stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You're going willing to die for your country and do that kind of stuff. But it was back there saying, oh, well, he's going to get killed. Well, big deal. You join the military, and black people have fought in the military and did a whole lot of stuff to make this country it is the way it is. And to me, it was kind of like a litmus test to say, hey, if we can't actually be, if my son or daughter, or whatever like that, can't rise to the highest office in the land, work hard, struggle, and all this kind of stuff because of their skin, then it's a bunch of bullshit. And I was like, no, I ain't gonna die for no country or whatever like that. Who would elect a man of my
Mm.
color and my resemblance to be in this position? Because it to me is like dating somebody and sitting back. I really, really like you, and I really, really like. I love you, but you know what? We ain't gonna get married. No, no, no. You ain't gonna get married. No, you good and everything, but you're like, no, fuck that shit. I ain't down for that. And there's a lot of you being a black person growing up, especially in the South and stuff. You have that
Yeah.
kind of like feeling. It is strong and stuff, and it's really, really strong and everything. And it's that,
See, I didn't grow up feeling like that.
yeah. But
I
I
grew
don't.
up I grew up feeling like I could, and I'm still like this. I grew up feeling like there was literally nothing that I could do, and
Uh-huh.
nobody was going to stand in my way. Growing up in Alabama, and then I lived in Florida for 8 years.
Uh-huh.
Literally every single job I ever had, I always ended up in management. I was always running the store.
Uh-huh.
Every single job for 10 years, and I worked in retail, and I worked in a lot of high-end stores.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that because even when like going back to the military, I remember talking to an older black vet, and talking to him about why he wanted to serve his country and everything. And one of the things he talked about was how because he talking about how people, like exactly what you just said, why would I want to fight for a country that doesn't fight for me? And one of the things he said was that he wanted to fight for his country because his ancestors did. His ancestors chose to fight for this country because it was their country, because for him it was a matter of ownership. And even going back to fighting, delving more into what happened during the days of slavery and slavery being eradicated, and the civil rights movement and all that, finding out that Abraham Lincoln actually did give the freed slaves, he gave them an option to go back to Africa or to stay here, purchase land in Africa for them to go back to Africa, which is now, I think it's Liberia, which is very interesting that now Liberia, it has the greatest amount, is the most lucrative country in Africa right now for black slaves, which is very interesting to me. But anyway, so going back, Abraham Lincoln gave the slaves an option to go back to Africa or to stay here, and telling them, if you stay here, it's gonna be hard. But if you want to go back to your homeland, I'll make that happen. When he freed the slaves, so some did go back, but there were the ones that stayed because they said that this was their land, because they built it. It was built off of their backs, and they wanted to stay because they had ownership in it now. You know what I'm saying? There was generations of them that felt like this is also my land. It's not just yours anymore. This is also mine. So it was more so their mindset wasn't about like, oh, this is the white man's land no more. Well, no, this is mine. I'm staying because I built this off of my back and off my family's back, and my family built this off of the backs of their family. And so I look at it like that, because it's like, if I'm being born in America, I know that one of my ancestors or some of my ancestors chose to stay and endure the hardship and fight to make life better. And then here I am, my mother and father, watching them. My mom, she wasn't necessarily a single mom, but my mom and dad weren't married when I was born. And my mom got pregnant with me at 18, and she could have aborted me. She got a full ride volleyball scholarship, could have aborted me and taken that. And she let that scholarship go to raise me on her own while my dad was in Germany. And watching them do whatever they needed to do to get what they wanted for the life that they wanted for their children. So for me, all I know is watching it being put in effect. When you work hard for what you want, period, there is nothing that you cannot do. Even me being in LA, for a long time I was a single mom. When I was married, I was a single mom. I mean, a stay-at-home mom. But even with that, I would mostly work on the weekends. Was able to grow my business by myself in an area that is severely saturated with hair and makeup artists already. Having to literally start from the ground up, because I didn't get my certification until 2013. So I had to start from the ground up, building my own contacts, my own network, my own businesses. And the funny thing is that most of my clientele for the first 7 years was everybody but Black people. Black people weren't even pouring into my business. My friends who are Black weren't even coming to me to get their hair done. And I can do everything. I work with everybody's hair textures, but most of my clients were either Caucasian, Latino, or Asian. The majority of them. And I built my business off of that by myself. I set my own price rates. Every year or two, I raise my prices, and I don't lose not one client, and I add to my client book every year. So for me, growing up in the South, living in Florida, and then coming to California and starting a new career, late, like around, I was 29 when I started doing hair and makeup. So for me, my life in and of itself is completely indicative of when you want something and you put your mind to it, it's going to happen. Because everybody was like, why are you doing that? It's so many hair and makeup artists in LA, like it's saturated. I was like, yeah, exactly. But can't nobody do what I do. What I do is different. My personality is going to be different. My work ethic is going to be different. What I do is going to set me apart from the rest. So when people say like you can't do certain things because of your skin color, I always tell them a little bit about my story, because my story goes completely in the opposite direction of what people would expect, because I'm Black, and I don't do it. I'm not one of those females that uses my looks for anything. The only time anybody would barely even see me half naked is in a swimsuit, and even then it's like high-waisted bottoms, but probably like leggings and a top. So it's like I don't walk around half naked. I'm not walk around in Fashion Nova. So people can't even use that to try to say, oh, like it's just your look, but it's not, because I'm not doing anything to get these things. I'm just being myself. So for me, it's the same thing. This is my country. I'm super patriotic, like very patriotic. Most of the time, if you grow up in the South, you end up being, I feel like a lot of people in the South are very patriotic, but I'm very patriotic. My dad was in the Army. And so, which started things. My kid's father was in the Navy. So, but for me, it's about ownership. It's about the stock of the fact that those freed slaves had a choice. And the fact that they chose to stay and endure and fight and put down roots in a land that wasn't originally for them, but they said, I'm going to take it anyway. That level, that energy, that mindset, that strength for me is, why would I do anything less?
Okay. Now, going back to the thing with Republican, being Black Republican, we showing up like at churches, social events, just hanging out at the club, whatever, at the beach, whatever. And of course, they're like, the story comes on up, and you sit back and say MAGA, like I ain't rocking that MAGA hat, or I'm not doing this or that, because it gets nasty. It get real downright
It
nasty and
does.
stuff. It get real,
Yeah.
you know how people, wild folks get. Let's get real.
Yes.
Our folks get in your face, get loud and stuff.
Yes.
And black folks, we just vocal. That's just how we were. Asian people, I
Yeah.
know, because I'm half my family's Asian. They're real quiet
Yeah.
about it. You know, black folks, we don't like something. We're gonna let you know. We gonna be all loud
Yes.
about it and stuff.
Yes.
And like out there, black Republicans like Ben Carson, Michael Steele and everything. Like
Ben Carson's dope.
Okay, but how much?
Look,
how
that
much?
man is a genius.
Okay, but how much? I mean, but Ben Carson, I'm gonna give you an example. He went to a black church. He was giving a speech, and they kind of kicked him to the curb and threw him on out. And we come across. Have you ever come across those kind of experiences before, when it's like outright, like, no, forget this, blah blah blah. We're not having that. They ain't having that. No, this ain't happening. It ain't flowing. It ain't going. Have you had any like negative experiences like that being a black Republican?
Not to where somebody, like I said, like my homeboy at his birthday party, like called me a coon and all that, because we were having a conversation about Kamala Harris, and all I said was, I don't trust her, because she's trying to say she's all for black people, but she made it her business to keep black people in jail that she knew was innocent. Like, she knew it was innocent. And the thing that kills me is that in California in 2018, everybody knew that. Everybody hated, if you was black, you hated Kamala Harris. In 2018, you hated, like 2019, you hated Kamala Harris in 2019, because she was not only putting away black people, but there was one man that was on death row, and she knew he was innocent, and she got a judge to sign off on suppressing evidence that would have exonerated him and let him die. A black man. And then here come 2022, and Joe Biden picks her because he needed a black candidate, because the Democrat Party always is so gung-ho and focused on race that it has to be a black woman, it has to be a woman, because let's believe her and all of that craziness. The second that he named her as his vice presidential candidate, and the way everybody just acted like we wasn't all just pissed and angry and like definitely not for her, and then that just went up in smoke. And I feel like our culture attempts to stick together to a fault in the wrong situations, that ultimately is what leads to our own demise. Because I'll give you an example. See the guy, he calls everybody to the man, he'll call everybody out, right? So when Joe Biden went on his show, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I might actually watch this, because I don't, most of the stuff I don't agree with See the Guy. But when he went on his show in 2020, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this, because I'm very interested to see how this interview is going to go. I want to see if he's going to really call dude on everything, because y'all been saying they owe us this, they owe us that, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to see if he's actually going to make him answer for this stuff, because Joe Biden has zero problem with calling black people a nigga. And people were like, well, he was reading the transcript. Nah, most people who are not racist, that feel some type of way, saying that word is not just going to be saying it easy. Like, you watch the video, he ain't flinch, he didn't hesitate. He said the whole R and all of that, like, over and over and over again, repeatedly. This was also the same man that championed segregation, was pissed about the fact that it was even getting a vote, because he didn't want his white children going to school in a jungle. This same president we have right now says all of these things. I haven't heard, when he was running, I ain't hear not one time him recant any of that, apologize for any of that. This is also the same man. There are numerous pictures of him holding hands with a very high-ranking goddamn KKK official before he died, which is also the same KKK official that Barack Obama delivered his goddamn eulogy. But whatever, I guess we ain't even gonna talk about that either. But the fact that Joe Biden said, if you're having a hard time deciding whether to vote for me or not, then you ain't black, and See the God sat there and just Okay, well, we gonna see. What the, bruh? He just told you, if you have the nerve to think for yourself, then you ain't black. I.e. saying, if you don't vote for me, then you are not black, slave. If you don't vote for me, then you're not staying in your place, slave. The way he let that pass, and then I watched a goddamn interview with this dude yesterday where he was talking about some, man, get Joe Biden out of office. What is he doing? What? We all saw this, all of that, but when he was running, this is the same man who, I think it was an NBC news anchor, was asking him questions, and Biden got mad and asked him, because he was black, are you on crack? What kind of question is that? Say what now? Why are y'all in the news anchor was black, so the news anchor was like, what does it have anything? And now mind you, he was asking him very valid questions, but Biden didn't feel like being questioned because he didn't have the answers to those. So I'm looking at all of these instances, all these situations where we actively lead to our own demise. I understand people don't want to talk about black on black crime and that being coined as a phrase or a term or whatever. I don't care about it even being a phrase. What I do care about is the reality is that every single day, that's something that is real in way too many neighborhoods across the country, and way too many children are dying from this. So y'all get mad when people want to address it, but we also are not doing anything in our community. We're not fixing it. But then when people want to address the fact that we're not fixing it, we tell them like, shut up, it's none of your business. But y'all are letting kids die. Like, y'all letting actual babies and grandparents and mothers and fathers be out here having children grow up. You complain about the foster care system because it's ran by the government and white people and it's set up to fail. But y'all are also not making sure that children are not growing up without their fathers because y'all are gung-ho about gang violence. And then when you know people who committed the crimes, who actually murdered people in front of you, you don't do anything about it. You don't turn them in because you need to be quiet. You need to be loyal to the hood, but not loyal to yourself and your family and the children around you. It at some point, it needs to make sense. Like, if we're going to stick together, cool, but it needs to make sense. It don't make sense for us to be sticking together on topics where there needs to be actual change, and we need to do it at home. Like, I grew up, in a home where in the South, we always have little sayings, that whole sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. So why can't we do that? We're requiring an entire country of people to give us things, but are unwilling to do the work at home first. So it's like, let's stick together. I'm down for that. But y'all say support black people, support black business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm over here like, hey, yeah, support my black business. Where y'all at? Because anytime y'all call me and I tell you my rates, why is it so expensive? Because I don't use cheap products. And I care about your face, I care about your skin, I care about your hair. So when you're coming to me, you're not just coming for me to put makeup on you. You're coming to me and I'm going to take care of your skin while I put makeup on you. When you come to me, I'm going to take care of your hair while I'm doing your hair, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm not just slapping braids in your head and you leaving. No, it's an entire experience with me. So my prices are what my prices are. But you want me to give you a discount. But you said support black businesses, support all women, but I'm not getting that at all from our culture, from my community. That is completely different from me. So it's like, if we're gonna say that, then we need to stick to it across the board and not waver from that. Because yes. If anybody was really paying attention to the stuff Joe Biden was saying with his racist behind too, if anybody was paying attention to what he was saying, they wouldn't have been using him to be some type of champion for the black cause, because this man been in office for a year now and still ain't did nothing. Because even people saying Trump was racist and how they felt about him, it's like, cool, whatever, I don't care either way. What I do look at though is that he did do a lot for the black community. It was the freaking the freaking prison reform that we were crying about the whole time was put in place by Joe Biden. He literally wrote the 3 strikes law himself. He personally wrote it. He didn't undo it. He didn't ever even try to do anything about undoing it. And somebody was like, well, he apologized for it. This man was a politician for 40 plus years before he even ran for president. First of all, at any point in time, he's been a senator that whole time. At any point in time, he could have wrote legislation to do away with it, but he didn't. One of the very first things Trump did when he got in office was to undo the 3 strikes law that released an enormous amount of Black people that went to jail for stupid reasons based off of just having marijuana possession. Not even intent to sell, but just marijuana possession in itself, which severely affected the Black community. But people didn't want to give that to Trump because they needed to believe dude was racist. It's like, okay, well, that's cool, but at least he did a lot of things for the Black community, though. I'm still waiting for Joe Biden to do that because he basically ran on that. That's exactly what he ran on. He still ain't did nothing yet. I haven't seen him do one thing. So it's like, if we're gonna stick together, let's actually get something out of it and stop leading to our own demise.
There's no doubt about that. In my past podcasts, I addressed it on Facebook, that the black on black crime, it is ridiculous. It's off the damn chain, especially like that in Chicago. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's embarrassing. It's freaking embarrassing. Like, god damn, y'all lost some change like some pit bull damn dogs. It's ridiculous. It is. Yes, it's ridiculous. Like, brothers shoot each other way too much. And I'm not trying to be Uncle Tom or sell out, nothing like that. But black on black crime does affect our community in disproportionate amount of, and it is Black people shooting at Black people. And I have addressed that in the past. Like I said, addressed it on my podcast show, addressed it on Facebook and everything. And I'm not shying away from it. And but when you get to like, a lot of people in the past said, hey, you're using a lot of Black people as the black cards or whatever like that. When it comes to politics, they always want to throw let's get somebody black, and it's kind of like, oh, we want get somebody black, and they always like the Latinos and Asians, they get overlooked and everything. But why is it always this issue with black this, black that? Because they use it, both parties use it back and forth. Yeah. It's like a poker game. Even one's trying to win, so they're using dirty tactics on both sides. Isn't it kind of like getting tired of kind of this black issue or whatever? Why do you think they always trying to use the issue of race when it comes to politics?
Because it works. They know it works. They watch it work every single election cycle. Because, and this is where people are predictable. Because it's really, especially now with the way technology is, it's very, very easy to determine how people are going to vote. So, which is like Google, literally pretty much every social media app you have, any search engine you use that's attached to Amazon, Google, anything like that, is collecting enough data to let whoever wants to know what your interests are, what means the most to you, and they're going to push into that. So it's just they know that because of how things started in this country, as long as somebody plays the race card, it is always going to get a reaction. And I always tell people, stop letting this stuff bother you, because the reason that they keep using the race card is because some of us are so attached to our skin color that is like the end, that's where everything begins for us. So they're going to keep harping on that. They're going to keep using that because they know it's going to get a reaction, negative or positive. They want a negative reaction, they absolutely going to get it. If they want a positive reaction, then just for instance, positive reaction. When Nancy Pelosi and them put those dashikis on and knelt at whatever Capitol building whatever government building that was, but knelt in silence and to honor whose death was it? I can't even remember whose death it was, but I was caught up on the fact that all of those people had on dashikis, and ain't never heard one of them talk about the culture that dashikis come from, the history of it, the reason for it. But yeah, we're gonna pander like a mug for this. And the way the majority of Black people in America, that didn't piss them off. One, after again spending the past almost 10 years crying about appropriation, and y'all just let them y'all just let them wear dashikis. Y'all just let that slide, didn't say a word. But the people, but the actual Africans, like real full-blood Africans in Africa, went ham. But the African Americans here on the Democratic side didn't say nothing. Now me and a bunch of people on the conservative side who are also Black was pissed about that, because that's African culture. You don't just wear things like that without understanding the history and the honor that is attached to different cultures, because there are so many in Africa. So we don't even just wear stuff just for the fashion of it. We'll wear it because it looks dope, but we also have done research to understand the meaning of the patterns that we're wearing on our bodies. And the fact that I didn't hear not one See the God, not anybody on the Breakfast Club, like nobody pop off when we all saw that picture, didn't make freaking sense to me. And I'm like, y'all are the most, we be the most inconsistent. Like how we've been crying about the appropriation of fashion, style, music, all of that for almost 10 years, like screaming it at the rooftops. And then you have a bunch of majority white politicians show up wearing dashikis and not a peep. Not one peep. What in the world? Don't make any sense. But that was one of those positive race card things. Also, and then this was the thing I noticed too, I also didn't see anybody or hear anybody say anything about like, I really appreciate the effort that they put in to do that. I didn't hear that. It was just crickets, just nothing. Because y'all knew it was freaking wrong, but you don't want to speak against it because these are the people that give you your handouts. But you're not going to say nothing. You've been crying about this stuff, but when you, at every opportunity we have to hold these people feet to the fire, that's not getting done. And then, but we expect them to take us seriously. This is why they always plays the race card, because they are always going to get what they want because they don't take us seriously. If we want to be taken seriously, we need to actually do what it takes to put our foot down, because all of us are actually very educated individuals, even whether we have a degree or not. I don't have a degree, but I'm a very highly educated person because I never stopped reading and I never stopped learning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the race card is always going to work until we decide to be consistent with the things that we say we have issues with. Because if you see, for instance, like the Black on Black crime thing, if you have an issue with the policing in our neighborhoods, then do a better job of getting gang violence and drugs out of the neighborhood yourself. Because why get rid of even an opportunity of help that a child or a mother or a father could have by getting rid of the police in your neighborhood, when you could put more effort into, and it would be much easier to just deal with the gangs in your neighborhood. Even if the gangs are going to be there, make them respect, put up some type of boundary and make them respect the families and the children that live there. Make them value the families and the children that live there. If you don't like the policing there, then do something about the crime that's happening there. But we don't want to talk about that. We just want to deal with this issue, but ignore this one over here that makes this an issue. So it's like, if this ain't working for you, cool, fix this. So then you don't have to worry about this. It's literally that simple, but we don't want to do that. we don't want to do that. So they're going to keep playing the race card because they know they can just pull us whichever way, and we're just going to move along with it instead of being like, no, pay attention. No, you need to focus. But we're not doing that. So they're going to keep doing it.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. And like I said, I always get people on my show, and I may not agree with their point of view, may not agree with everything they say, but I want to provide a platform that people can express themselves. And,
Yeah,
like you
which is
said
bomb.
before, it's not going to sit back up and get nowhere, cussing nobody out, calling nobody names, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It ain't going to get nowhere. And like, I got a lot of negative feedback. Well, Blaine, you don't sit back and say that. You don't do that. It's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, it's not as
Mm-hmm.
stupid as dumb. And I know a lot of people, they tune in because they want to see somebody black cussing and yelling and screaming and doing all that, acting like a damn
Facts.
fool and off the chain.
Yes.
And when they don't get that, oh, we don't want to. That show's not real. You ain't keeping it real. You ain't, whatever. But hey, you've been a really, really, really great guest, and I would like to go ahead, maybe express and talk with you later on some future shows, the events, anything like that. Because
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure this is
Yes.
just one step and stuff. Because we didn't get to like the issue with the guns, we didn't get the issue with
Yeah.
January 6th. And there's a whole
So
lot of
much.
different kind of issues and stuff that probably need
Yeah.
to be addressed, and you do need somewhere to talk about this and get it out and get it open. And like I said, you've been a really great guest. And I asked Stephen before, they say, hey, you got anybody else you might want to be interested in? And less than 24 hours came back and boom, boom, boom. Okay, that was really great. You've been a really great guest and everything. And please go ahead and tell them about my show. To get your stuff
Absolutely.
out there and everything. And you got any more? You're welcome to come back and have this conversation again. And you've been a really great
Yeah.
guest. And you are the Patriot Lioness,
Yes.
and that
On
name really does
Instagram.
go up with your energy and your tempo and everything. You definitely do Lioness, and we can agree. My only biggest thing concern I have is when black folks or whatever people in general don't vote, but they want to talk some shit, but they
That
don't
part.
vote. Okay, I ain't got no problem sitting up here talking to somebody who has opposing party when they vote.
Yes.
But when you ain't voting, you talking shit. And you ain't
Yes.
vote either which party or whatever, but you gonna talk, come on, god
But then be
damn.
like, I don't like either one of them, so I'm just not gonna vote. Well, then you don't get to say
Exactly.
nothing because you're not trying to do anything about what you say your issue is.
Exactly. Cause I got in conversation with people they didn't even vote. I got my own family like, no, I ain't voting, man. Fuck that shit. Whoa, wait a minute. You putting Barack Obama down. You putting Donald Trump down. Your ass didn't vote for either which party. And you talking all this shit? God damn. Oh, my God. You going to dog my ass out, kick me to the curb like I'm a... Come on.
Look,
Come on.
look, people died and fought so
Yeah,
black people
yeah.
could vote. So you
Yeah,
just
that's
not
why.
gonna do it.
That's why I vote. I agree. I don't like the system. I think it's effed up. It's messed up, jacked
I
up.
agree.
But black folks died for your ass to have that right to vote. I owe that obligation to them. A lot of black people died. They suffered. They got cussed out,
Yes.
lynched, and beat. I sit back and I believe in America what black people did for me to be here. That's why I
Yes.
do what I do. So I have to vote. I'm sorry. I
Absolutely.
don't. No, there ain't no way in the world I couldn't vote and stuff. Because black folks
Right.
actually died. They went through a whole lot of shit to sit back and give you that right to vote. You gonna get up there, show your ass up, and who the fuck you think you is?
Facts.
You gonna get that attitude? Hey, vote? What the? Oh hell no, hell
Where?
no. But thanks you
Like,
a lot.
okay, so great, you're a part of the problem. So just so
Exactly.
you know, you're a part of the problem.
Well, thanks a lot. You've been a really, really great guest, and I'd like to
Thanks,
have you back,
Blaine.
and we'll talk with this conversation again. And
Yes.
be
I
really
would
good.
love that.
Have a good Sunday. I know who you're gonna vote for as far as who wins on the football team or not. That's up to you. I don't want to
Look.
I don't want to get no fight over that. But go ahead and have a rest of the good Sunday
Look.
off, and I'll go
Yes.
ahead and hook up with you later on. And thanks a lot for
Okay.
being on Blame Paradigm. That ain't Black Podcast. That ain't blackpodcast.com. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay.